good afternoon, or maybe in some cases, good evening, maybe morning, I guess, for some people, depending where you're at the globe. So thanks for joining us. I'm going to step out of the way, like I said, in a moment, but just so you know who's talking, Chris Barnard with Microsoft, part of the team that works with our friends at Avanade, full-time, all the time, every day, especially around Metaverse. So excited for this topic. And Patrick, who's the head of the global head of Metaverse Service Hub at Avanade, is going to take it away. I love the comments about the avatars. I was going to turn them on, but then realized only a couple of us can have avatars on. So that's probably not too fair for everybody else. So with that, Patrick, I'm going to go back on mute. I'll turn it over to you, and I'll be watching the chat for questions. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Chris. So thank you for that introduction. So avatars and Gen AI is going to be a topic we discuss today. So as Chris said, my name is Patrick Löwendahl. I work with Avanade, which is a joint venture between Microsoft and Accenture. So we focus only on Microsoft. We work very closely with people like Chris and others. I've been working a lot with the Mesh team, the last couple of 6 months to work with our clients on that and do different stuff. My role is to make sure that we at Avanade can bring the best of the metaverse to our clients at the maturity level that it is at. As many of you certainly know and understand, metaverse is not really where we need it to be yet. And it's not because the technology is not there, it's because the convergence of the technology is not really there yet. We're taking a huge leap at Build. We can see that for sure. So we'll discuss one of those leaps today, which is how generative AI will be able to actually make metaverse, take us closer to the metaverse vision. But I want to make sure, because everyone talks about metaverse and they have different views and different perspectives. I just want to make sure a couple of things before we start, so we have the same context, everyone. So one of the things that metaverse for me and the way I will lead discussion is not. It's not virtual reality. Let's just get that out of here. Right? So virtual reality is absolutely a part of it. It's absolutely one way to interact with the metaverse, and it's going to be super important to get there. But most of you have probably tried the headsets. They are not there yet to be something that we do 8 hours a day. We're really going to. The metaverse is the world. It's the internet that we change, and then we do different things. So I want to do two things before we start talking about generative AI. I want to define and set the context around this. So the way we define the metaverse within Avanade is basically there's a convergence of advanced technology that blends physical, digital, and virtual spaces and creates an immersive world that revolutionizes meeting, working, shopping, and entertainment. So what we want to say with this is that it's not a virtual world. That's not it. It's the convergence of different spaces that uses different technologies to make sure that we get to that convergence. Immersiveness is important, but immersiveness can be within the screen. It can be within the phone, or it can be within a headset. It's how we create that immersive world and how we get the data and the interaction that's behind that. That's the important thing. And that's what we're going to discuss when we talk about generative AI and the metaverse today. So I only have 2 slides, and then we'll go into the discussion. The second slide is what we believe is the convergence that is important. So it's the experiences that we talk about, right? It's important, but it's also sensing. And for me, sensing it's partly IoT, it's partly spatial data, spatial computing, it's partly like the smartwatch. It's all of that kind of thing where we let the computer understand the physical world in a way. It's also context to understand where you're acting within. Is this a building? Is this a human? What are we doing with this data? So we talk a lot about digital twins around this, and that's been super exciting and big within manufacturing. But what if we talk about digital humans, digital persons, digital customers, or a digital building or a digital office space, and we create different digital twins real time that understand the context and get the sensing out of that. The other thing is decentralization. And that's more of a Web3 thing, but it's going to be important in the metaverse. And specifically, it's going to be important around identity. Because one of the things we'll discuss today is what happens when generative AI creates an avatar or creates a voice or creates an image of someone. How do we make sure that you own your identity and it cannot be spoofed? The second to last thing is devices. Devices is going to be super important for us because that's the way we interact with the metaverse. And we see the HoloLens 2, it's a great augmented reality. We see the Quest 2 and Quest Pro, it's super in virtual reality. And we see an Apple device coming up in just a couple of weeks that have high hopes to be something. All of those devices is giving us something. For me, as a computer nerd, as a gaming nerd, that some might understand from my chair in my room, that's not a problem for me. I'm used to having subpar experiences for entertainment's sake. But for the vast majority of people, that's not going to be good enough. So we still need better devices. I will talk a little bit about that as well, and how Gen AI can help us with that, something. And then we come into the infrastructure. That's cloud, of course, but that's also, for me, is the generative AI. So for me in the metaverse, generative AI will help us with that. So that's kind of tries to frame this so we all have the same kind of understanding of which metaverse are we actually talking about and working within. So with that, this is the discussion. So we're going to discuss a couple of topics. So one of the topics, or the first topic, the most easy topic that we can discuss, is generation of worlds and generation of 3D objects. So OpenAI already have kind of something for it, which is Shape-E. There's a bunch of different things on the internet where we do different stuff to generate different kind of content. So it could be an object, or it can be a world, or it can be an avatar. Now, the big question is, what is the value that generative AI would give, right? So I'll open it up. I have an idea and an answer, but what is the value generative AI would give within this? I don't know if someone tried to work with Midjourney or something else to generate pictures. It's good, but it's not perfect. So what do you think? Cool. So we have a few comments. So real rendering of environments. We'll talk about that. That's super important, super interesting. Generate assets for an experience. Another comment here again on real time. Graphic design not necessarily able to work in 3D. Normal AI not necessarily able to work or think in 3D. Creating an experience that don't actually exist in the real world. That's a really interesting one. We'll talk about that. Is absolutely that's about simulation. Someone has a cool avatar. That's good. Now, was that avatar generated by you, or was it made by generative AI? That's the most important question here. Manipulate environments with just prompts. Interact with virtual bots with generative AI capabilities. Yeah, so we'll pause on that. Mario has a really good point. We'll pause on that a little bit. Sensitive avatars to chatbots, real-time data to display data and analytics. Help us make the needed model files like DTD. Yeah, sure. Yes, absolutely. So let me throw something in here as well. So very good suggestions. All of them are 100% true. All of that with generative AI will help. We'll dig into a few of those, and we'll talk about a little bit about the problems that will arise and things that we need to think about around that. So first of all, generating worlds is of course obvious thing. Generating kind of 3D objects is something that's obvious, right? So Shape-E from OpenAI does that for you. You can use that content, and you can put that into your metaverse world, and it will be fantastic. Well, it'll be okay at this point, but it will become fantastic very soon. So that's good. And what if we if you look at where the immersion of the metaverse comes from, it comes from the gaming world and from entertainment. And in that world, when Midjourney was was released and was pushing, what happened was that someone mentioned here in the comments as well, is that 3D designers were asked not to do immersive worlds, but to prompt Midjourney to do it. So there's a few things with that. That increases productivity, right? So just like someone commented, it means that people like myself, this picture that I have here that you see is created by Midjourney. I prompted it to create an image of a city with some cyberspace internet kind of things. I don't exactly 100% remember the prompt, and it generated an image for me. Now, I could not do that. Me as a person, Patrick Lovendahl, I'm a developer. I can write beautiful C# code. I cannot do that. Not a chance. So it democratizes the ability to create 3D worlds, just like a lot of people have said here. It also does another thing. So the challenge with that is that if it democratizes it, it also takes away the special skill. So it takes away the special skill of a 3D artist. Now, the opportunity is clear. Creating metaverse worlds, it takes time. So working with Chris and the team, we've been working with doing mesh implementations for a while now, 6 months for clients. One of the things that we spend the most time on is creating immersive worlds within mesh. Now, if we can do that with a chat prompt, it will lessen the effort to create a world. Great. But using a chat prompt, a C# developer, can do it instead of Maggie, my super talented XD designer. So the value for skills goes down. So opportunity and challenges ahead, how do we get this together? If we look at entertainment, this is already happening. So in gaming, talented 3D designers are already being asked to use Midjourney to prompt things instead of designing it. Is that what they signed up for? Is that what they want to do as a job? Is that their dream? Of course not. So absolutely a very good opportunity, but also a challenge we need to think about. Now, there's another thing that's a theme in here. I think I understood it as a theme as well, which is simulation. So one of the things we say that the metaverse will give us is possible impossible scenarios or multiple redos. I don't know if you heard about this before. If you did, please comment in the chat. But what possible impossible scenarios are is that it will simulate a scenario that cannot happen in real world because people will die or you will lose $1 million or whatever. So with generative AI, you can do those scenarios easy. You can do them programming with C#. You can, in a gaming environment, you program them all the time. You go on a quest, you have stuff happen. But it takes a lot of effort to do one scenario. So how do you make a lot of scenarios? That's where generative AI comes in and can generate all of scenarios for you. So what happens if I change my product cycle in this way? What happens if I change it in this other way? What's the outcome? How does it affect different pieces of my machinery? Or how does it affect my logistics chains or my supply chain? Stuff like that. Okay, so I'll come back to that. Just Perry saying they just need to adapt to the new era. AI will help, not hinder human creativity. This is correct. I fully agree with that. But if you were the person that was drawing, and now you need to, instead of drawing, you need to be the director or the conductor, that changes the role that you had. So if you enjoyed being the drawer and now you need to coordinate work instead, maybe you can still adapt and you can do your work, but is that what you actually signed up for? I'm not sure it was. But I fully agree, adapt and overcome. That's what we need to do in generative AI Aha. So Krim is saying something really interesting. I did a YouTube short about this today that I posted on LinkedIn actually. So imagine generating 3D objects requires specific descriptive language skills, which would be a skill to master, not always easy to describe something that doesn't exist yet. That's something that's super interesting. Or I think it's super interesting because as a software engineer, as an engineer in general, we've been taught to master math. That's been the thing that we've been doing. Now it's not math anymore. Now it's language. It's native language, spoken, written language. We need to understand how to do that and how to communicate with an AI so it gives us the result that we have. I don't know about you, and I wouldn't dare to guess, but in my household, trying to get what I want in my family is sometimes very complicated, even if I'm talking my native language. Trying to get it from an AI, it takes time. So mastering communication is hard. And now we need to master communication not with another human, but with an AI. So that's going to be super interesting as well. There's also a challenge ahead. And I believe that it means that language skills, both specifically in English, I mean, but both in the native language and languages you want to learn, it's going to be super important to be able to talk to these and create those things that you want to do. And that's a different skill. It's a different way to work with generative AI, or sorry, with the metaverse. You need to talk to it or talk to the engine behind it. Yeah, change is inevitable. Adapt. Well, when we did the industrialization, everything became a robot. We adapted. The big difference now is that when we did we automated physical work, people started to do cognitive work. Now we're automating cognitive work. So where are we going? To more cognitive work? Yeah, most probably. We'll see. This is where I think simulation is going to be important, because what Gen AI can do in Metaverse is simulate different scenarios, and we can look at those scenarios, and we can, as humans, then take that experience and that understanding, and we can take decisions. So if we simulate this scenario, that scenario, and this scenario, we can judge which outcome was the best from our perspective. That's something that we can do. That's absolutely an opportunity for us to do going forward. I think that's super important. Let's see what Aaron's saying. So I expect creative AIs will often be designed to take some human input as foundation to build on and produce output in format that designers can fine-tune afterward. I agree with that. I don't know how many of you have seen Automate IA though. So it's about the abstraction layer of where you do that, right? So in Automate AI, you give it a task, and that generates a bunch of API calls. So it's much more high level than Gen AI or OpenAI is, and other AI engines like Midjourney is doing. So it depends a little bit on what we talk about on instructing. So I think instructing is important, but I think also the outcome is going to be super important. How we manage the outcome of it, I would say. Pen and paper to typewriters to computers, but that's what I'm talking about. Exactly. So it's the cognitive work, right? I mean, that's what happened. And back at that time, actually, I read a really interesting article about that, where they're saying, yeah, the problem is going to be that when we have the computers, the work that's like low skill, which is the typewriting, will disappear. That was written in like the 60s or 70s, and they were talking a lot about girls, because at that time, specifically in North America, that's what they were doing. They were doing the less complicated work at that time. Now I would say that's not such a much of a problem, because the low-skilled work that's happening right now, when it's automated, we bring the people with us. right? That's a way we've understood industrialization is working. We bring the people with us. Whoever doing the quote low-skilled work in the chain, will bring them with us. The problem is it sometimes takes generations to get that, and that's the challenge I would say we stand in front of. How do we make sure that this hop that we do now, the automation we do now, doesn't really get into a generation thing? We bring them up immediately. So Ajit, yep. So for me, as I said earlier, for me, digital twin is an underlying component of the metaverse. Since we want the physical, digital, and virtual worlds to converge, we can't do that without a digital twin. But we need to differentiate between simulation within an immersion and simulation on a digital twin. So we can simulate a lot more things if we have an immersion that we can do if we only have the data. So the simulation happens in the convergence of experience, sensing, context, infrastructure, devices. There's one more that I just now forgot. But the convergence of all of those technologies, when we simulate something within that, we create something that's much bigger than just simulating the data coming from a digital twin or the output from a digital twin, specifically if we do it in real time. At least that's the way I see it from a metaverse perspective. Identity, yes. How owns that? How is universal for all? So Ralph, let's dig into that. This is one of my pet peeves. So currently, you can take like 4 seconds. Oh, and my picture gone. Interesting. That was also interesting. Why is my picture gone? Give me a second, I'll fix it. I can fix it quickly. I don't, well, actually, do you really need my picture? I don't know. I think it's my voice that's, see if we can do it like this. That works, right? Okay. So identity is important. So this is important because of generative AI. So today with generative AI, you can very quickly copy someone's voice. Now let me lead you down to
Patrick. I think we lost you.
You lost me? Hello? You can't hear me?
I hear you. You're good.
Okay. Good. So let me lead you the last couple of minutes down into a rabbit hole. That's important for me, or a pet peeve of mine that I think we need to think about when we do this. So with generative AI, you can copy someone's voice within seconds. Just listen to them within seconds and you can copy their voice. With generative AI, you can, if you go to ChatGPT, for instance, today, and you say, look at my profile and tell me who I am. And then you tell it to do it in the voice of Eddie Murphy. It will be able to do that. Why? Because it has access to a bunch of interviews of Eddie Murphy and the way he expresses himself. If you go to Unreal Engine and you look at what they have done with metahumans, where metahumans it looks like a human, talks like a human, it can interact like a human. It's creepy. Converge these things together, AI, metahumans, voice synthesizing, reading your personal data. You can create an avatar that's actually you. That is possible for someone that converges all of that data. When that happens, identity is going to be super important, and how we decentralize the identity and make sure that you can authenticate that it's actually me you're talking to and not an avatar that looks like me, talks like me, reasons like me, and have the same knowledge as me. Given a generative AI all of your stuff, your messenger, your WhatsApp, your phone records, your emails, everything you've written from your preschool to high school to whatever you've written stuff, all recorded videos and pictures of you, and it can create a copy of you within the metaverse. That is an opportunity because it makes the metaverse more engaging. It makes sure that you can actually have an avatar that people will trust is you, but it poses a really big challenge in terms of how do we authenticate that it is actually you. Within Mesh, for instance, it can be done by using AD or using Entra to make sure that we have decentralized identities that we can verify. But if someone calls you on the phone, or someone interacts with you with another platform that doesn't have this authentication mechanism, and you can't really own your identity, that will be a challenge for us going forward. It's already there. It is, I mean, was it Van Buren, the DJ that were doing a song by Eminem? He never sang it, he never wrote it, he just made it with Gen AI. So with the metaverse, this will be a challenge. So now I have a question to you. If you can do this, if you could give an AI all of your data, all your pictures, all your videos, all your voice things, what would you do with that avatar if you die? What would you like to happen to that avatar if you died? Think about it. Because it opens up a couple of things: morality, morals, ethics, but also privacy. And it opens up discussions about IP, because even dead people have IP rights. So what would you want to do about that? Ownership of IP needs to change. Haunt my friends. Let it live on in a museum. Yeah. That's a tougher question than one I thought you were going to ask. I would like that avatar to continue sharing the knowledge I've gained. Yeah. Soul machines, yes. Including celebrities, yeah. That's for sure. I mean, you have like the Madame Tussauds, right? I was in Madame Tussauds in London. I have it in New York. Then people are there in like wax stalls, and there's like videos of them, and there's ways to do things like that today to like feel like you. But in the metaverse, when you have all of that, you can actually create a copy of a person. Could it live on as its own being? That's a really interesting question. What if it continues to learn? What if it interacts with other avatars and learns more things? Happens then? Become a being at some point? No. Potentially, depends on how you define a soul, and that kind of religious discussion I'm not really going to get into in this session. But that's a really good point. When does AI become its own being? We Are Legion. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a really good book. Okay, so we're up. So I hope I left you with some food for thought. It will give us opportunities to generate things, 3D worlds, objects, avatars. It will really help us to accelerate the building of a metaverse, or a metaverse solution, or a betaverse if it's only a part of a metaverse. But it's also challenges in IP and privacy, in people's jobs, and what they do for a living, and how they will continue to do that living. I'm the optimistic person, so I'm really going to chase after the opportunities, but I'm going to be really, really cautious about all the challenges we discussed today. With that, from Stockholm, Sweden, currently, I'll bid you good night. It's time for me to soon to take my night snack and go to bed. Thank you so much for the discussions tonight, guys.